Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly mind-bending scenario from the AI DarkVerse, the signal beneath Earth. Right, so picture this. It's 2:43 a.m., you're at a freezing, completely isolated scientific monitoring station down in Antarctica. Suddenly, the equipment picks up an anomaly, and I'm not talking about a blip from a passing satellite or some weird atmospheric bounce. No, this transmission is coming from directly below. Let's look at how the team actually handled this impossible data.
Okay, let's dive into this by asking the exact same question those scientists were asking themselves at almost 3 in the morning. How on Earth, or rather inside Earth, can a signal transmit from beneath the crust? Because, as we'll see, the sheer crushing density of our planet makes this basically impossible for any technology we know of. The team's very first job, proving they weren't just going crazy.
So to figure this out, they went through a totally ruthless process of elimination. I mean, they're in the middle of nowhere, no cities, no local radio towers, absolutely no aircraft flying overhead. They systematically restart the entire system. Boom, the signal's still there. They literally disconnect the receivers and antennas, the whole shebang. And guess what? The unexplainable signal is still there. So it wasn't a glitch in the gear, and it absolutely wasn't coming from the sky.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is watching the scientific method just kick in. They start comparing this anomaly against all known geological data. Like, could it be a weird, deep earthquake? Nope. What about magma moving, volcanic activity, or tectonic shifts? The data didn't match at all. Maybe a magnetic disturbance? Wrong again. By checking off every single box, they proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was not a natural geological event.
What they found instead was a pattern. A terrifying mechanical heartbeat. 17. They'd hear this distinct pulse, followed by exactly 17 seconds of dead silence, and then another pulse. And here's where it gets really crazy. This rhythm wasn't just isolated to Antarctica anymore. Monitoring stations across the globe started picking it up. Every single one of them hearing that exact same 17-second heartbeat.
To really wrap your head around how baffling this is, just think about our absolute deepest drilling projects. I mean, we have barely, literally scratched the very outermost crust of our planet. But the math? The calculations showed this signal was originating thousands of kilometers deeper, way down in the mantle. We're talking about an environment with such unimaginable heat and pressure that no conventional machine could ever survive for a second. And just as the scientists are trying to grapple with the sheer impossibility of something surviving down there, the data shifts. That rock-steady 17-second interval, it suddenly shrinks to 16 seconds. The heartbeat was speeding up. And you know, it doesn't stop there. The countdown just keeps going. The rhythmic pulse aggressively quickens to 15 seconds. The gap between these massive pulses is officially closing. Then it drops to 14 seconds. Imagine the mounting dread inside those monitoring stations, just watching that number tick down. The scientists realized that whatever this underground anomaly was, it wasn't just some passive, dormant thing. It was actively escalating, and it was doing so with complete mechanical precision. At this point, a mathematician is brought in to decode the pulses, and what she discovers is honestly chilling. When you convert the pulses into numbers, they form a very specific mathematical sequence: 2, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Right, those are prime numbers. In signal detection, prime numbers are the ultimate red flag. They are a classic, undeniable hallmark of artificial intelligence or design. It proved unequivocally that this signal was the product of an intelligent creator. And this brilliantly illustrates the true nature of the anomaly, because the mathematician realized it wasn't just counting down for the fun of it. It was measuring. By reconstructing the full sequence, they figured out this thing was acting as a continuous environmental report. It was actively measuring temperature, pressure, magnetic fields, and density deep within the Earth's interior, and then repeating a coordinate that pointed straight down.
This revelation triggered a massive global seismic scan, which uncovered something researchers dubbed the deep anomaly. It's this perfectly symmetrical, artificial geometric structure, hundreds of kilometers across, buried deep in the Earth. And based on its position in the geological record, they determined this impossible machine was built millions, maybe even billions of years ago. That's long before humanity or even complex life existed on this planet.
Then, the signal just stopped. For exactly 6 hours, absolute dead silence. The scientists were completely in the dark, just waiting. But
As it turns out, that terrifying pause was just the calm before the storm. The silence was broken by a massive, planetary vibration. A single, enormous pulse that literally shook the entire planet. It caused unexplained magnetic disturbances and instantly changed animal behavior worldwide. Whales sought deeper waters, birds just entirely abandoned their flight paths. From there, the sequence of events was incredibly rapid and frankly terrifying. First, the central transmission stops. Second, that intense vibration hits. But the third step, that was the real alarm bell. The source of the signal actually began moving upward. It was traveling from the deep core up toward the crust. Governments obviously kept this totally quiet, terrified of mass panic. Finally, this moving anomaly comes to a dead halt directly beneath one of the world's largest cities. Now, for a brief moment, city life just carried on like normal. But then, at exactly 2:43 a.m., which, if you recall, perfectly mirrors the exact time the original signal was detected down in Antarctica, the entire city shuts down. Every single electronic clock stops, phones go completely dead, traffic lights fail, the entire power grid flickers once and just dies in an instant.
And in the eerie, quiet aftermath of that massive blackout, something else happened. Every single frozen screen in the city, phones, giant billboards, computer monitors, they all locked onto this exact, unexplainable geometric symbol. A circle. Inside it, a smaller circle. And right beneath it, the number 17. The anomaly wasn't just a sound on a seismograph anymore. It had hijacked human technology and was speaking directly to us.
So the crucial point is this. The planet itself is the antenna. That's the horrific reality the scientists finally pieced together. This underground machine wasn't trying to speak to humans at all. It was using the entire mass of the Earth as a gigantic transmitter to broadcast a signal out into deep space. And it had probably been doing this for thousands of years.
But the speed of this exchange, it defies all logic. At 0 seconds, Earth transmits its final sequence. Just 11 seconds later, a response actually arrives from the cosmos. The physics of that are literally impossible. To get a response that fast means whoever answered was either incredibly close to Earth already, or they possess a level of technology that completely breaks our understanding of the universe. And then, at 12 seconds, the underground structure violently activates again.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Because the cosmic response wasn't just an echo. It contained the exact same mathematical sequence, but with one chilling addition. A new integer, 18. And as the underground structure began counting up, 18, 19, 20, each new number started triggering physical earthquakes and severe magnetic shifts all across our globe. The machine was turning something on. Suddenly, the planet fell completely silent again. The underground structure transmitted one final sequence, but this time it wasn't numbers. It was a translation that flashed across scientists' screens. They know you exist. You see, the ancient underground machine wasn't a weapon. It was a beacon. It had simply been waiting for Earth to become technologically advanced enough to announce that the planet was finally occupied. The moment that message came through, every telescope on Earth instinctively pointed toward the same region of space. And what they witnessed was the terrifying climax of a wait that lasted millennia. Thousands of tiny points of light began appearing just beyond the moon. Then, millions. The entire sky filled with a massive, unexplainable fleet arriving to answer the ancient beacon's call. We've always looked up at the stars, constantly searching, wondering if we're alone. But the terrifying truth is, we were the ones being searched for. Which leaves us with this final, profound question to consider from our explainer today. If that ancient machine was transmitting for millions of years, why did they wait so long to answer? I'll leave you to think about what that really means for our place in the universe.